Thank you for tuning in to Zim News Beat TV.
I would like to issue a press statement on the state of security ahead of the SADC summit. Fellow Zimbabweans, we are delighted to address you today on the backdrop of ongoing activities around the hosting of the 44th SADC summit. We continue to enjoy peace and tranquility in the country as visitors troop in. Yesterday, the head of state and government, His Excellency the President, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, officially opened the 7th SADC Industrialization Week, which has recorded significant interactions by regional industry captains. We take this opportunity to applaud the local industry players, both in the formal and informal sector, for their dedication in making the week a success. Our people are generally appreciating the development strides made by the Second Republic, epitomized by the massive infrastructural development projects, policy and government reforms, visible efforts at tackling corruption, and various social safety interventions. It is ironic and sad that the unpatriotic and anti-developmental opposition seeks to undo these milestones through unnecessary protests, potential looting, and destruction of property. The security sector has a duty to protect national interests in its diverse forms. It is our role to protect the massive infrastructural outlay that the Second Republic has invested in within the shortest period in power. Any attempt at sabotaging the visible developments would be confronted head-on. Equally, the security sector remains committed to ensuring that the general citizenry continues with their economic and social activities without interruption. Fellow Zimbabweans, we note with serious concern that relentless efforts by some misguided political activists who are trying hard to foment unrest and disturb the smooth hosting of the summit. Allow me to sound a candid and stern warning to those bent on disturbing our peace and tranquility. Let me categorically disabuse those nursing a misguided perception that the presence of the international community in the country during the summit presents them an opportunity to inflict reputational damage on the country without consequence. The security cluster is aware of the secret meetings being held locally and outside the country by those seeking to unleash civil disobedience. We already know the personalities and the institution that they front. We are also aware of those giving them logistical and financial support. We have also established their modus operandi, which includes hiring taxis to ferry demonstrators. This government has a constitutional mandate from the people of this country to govern. The people democratically spoke boldly in August 2023. We will not be apologetic to exercise that mandate given by the will of the people through universally acknowledged processes. It must be recognized that those pushing for the protest did not exploit internal legal remedies to their purported and imaginary electoral grievances. They instead think that political power can be obtained undemocratically and unconstitutionally. Adequate measures have been put in place to account for and rein in anybody seeking to disturb peace for whatever reason, including the misguided view that only them and their leader should lead government. They are an unashamed, power-hungry group. Fellow Zimbabweans, esteemed guests and visitors, while the freedom of expression is a fundamental right, it is paramount to observe that your enjoyment of that freedom should not be at the expense of the freedom of your fellow citizens. Section 86, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe provides that the fundamental rights and freedoms set out in this chapter must be exercised reasonably and with due regard for the rights and freedom of other persons, unquote. Freedom of expression does not and cannot mean the right to remove a democratically elected government from office and to replace with people or a party elected by nobody. Historically, the opposition has never held any peaceful demonstrations. It is indeed disappointing to note that misplaced priorities of sections of the opposition who are agitated to stay civil unrest at a time focus should be on hosting the summit. The timing of the push for demonstrations is not surprising. It has historical footprints. We have always witnessed the penchant to mobilize for demonstrations around regional and international events. This SADC summit was therefore not going to be an exception. It is clear that the organizers seek to provoke a heavy-handed response from government, which they assume would attract global attention and put Zimbabwe on the spotlight. We have been through such episodes before and are prepared for the same. The attempts at rendering the country ungovernable would be met with befitting responses. Let those seeking to create an atmosphere of despondency among peace-loving citizens be warned that such antics will not be tolerated. Fellow Zimbabweans, we assure you all that peace and security is guaranteed. Spoilers and anti-development-minded forces shall be dealt with decisively. We call upon the nation to ignore the numerous misleading social media messages from opposition quarters. We will go after those pushing for lawlessness and allow the law to take its course. This country has adequate laws to deal with those bent on lawlessness. May I also assure the nation that apart from guaranteeing territorial safety, government is seized with championing food security. A number of processes have therefore been put in place to make sure that no one dies of hunger. The security machinery is on the ground to guarantee peace, law, and order, and ensure that progressive Zimbabweans can continue with their day-to-day activities without hindrance. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and this brings us to the end of the Minister's statement.
Sorry about that. Okay, thank you. Okay.
For these and more stories, tune in to Zim News Bit TV.